this man is called Gavin, and he's got a turtleneck, and his suit is quite well made. This man is wearing a dinner jacket with a black shirt and tie. There's this man, when he stands up, he just looks a bit scruffy. He can't quite cut it. This man is incredibly, he glides, he doesn't walk. You know, he's one of these, he's got this amazing sort of physicality, and he's just so, and he just, when, you know, he sort of has this beautiful, very high, very sort of art figure. And so, sorry? But, and that's his sort of character is like that, whereas, you know, this guy is much more, is much heavier, much more sort of bullish as a character. And so their physicality is something that, again, that helps us differentiate between them visually. So to get a sense of that, whether they're, I mean, this is all we, go back to Mike Alfred's actually. He used to do a lot of stuff to do with movement which was Laban based, so it's sort of dance based. But so you're thinking about movement in terms of whether people are direct or indirect, whether they're light or heavy,
flowing or chopped,
exactly. So all these things, and they're quite useful to sort of think about when we're thinking about characters, how characters move. Sometimes people they lead with different parts of their body. So you get that there are people who sort of who walk like, you know, they sort of walk like that, and there are other people who are much more sort of, you know, and they might be much brisker. And so that sense of people's physicality and whether they are, you know, and there are some people who are sort of, they're always just a bit like that,
floating.
You know, yeah, so they don't seem to focus. In the script he says, you know, we get on all right, don't we? We get on all right. And she says, yes, we do. And she literally does this. And he kisses her forehead. And then she slowly rises. Yeah. So again, if we don't know beforehand that she's a head taller than he is, that moment, it's funny when it happens. It's funnier when it happens in the real play than it was when I did. But you know, that would be lost. So again, we're kind of looking at what goes on and how we need to set it up without necessarily appearing to.
כשהם יוצאים החוצה מה-favorite place, הם נכנסים לתוך מקום שלא תיארנו אותו. בלייב נעצור.
That's what I wanted to say. אתה יודע מה? הם הכרחים.
עוד?
כן, הם הכרחים.
גם אם הוא זורק את כובע הראשה של מי?
הם הכרחים. נקודה.
He's bending or her coming up?
She gets up. Because again, it's response. So if we put that together with no visuals, we have the sound of him saying for having an ill-tempered woman in it. So she gets up.
She gets up. Okay.
And then she speaks, and then we kind of understand that situation. Maggie at the door. Yeah.
At the door. Okay.
And then we get this sort of screech.
Okay.
And then
Her hysterical mother.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then, do we know who that is just from the sound bite? I'm not sure we...
She said her mother. Your mother is your... Hunting your mother.
Well, he hasn't yet. Well, or just, as I say, if you use slumps, or that gives the kind of, if someone slumps, that's a sort of energy thing. So if that's what it is.
All those have one word in Hebrew. Seriously? Probably have 1/10 of the word.
I suppose you understand the count.
Indeed, Mrs. Clegg. You not giving no advice.
I don't know if I'm giving.
Yeah, so you know the proper system.
ברור שהיא מתקדם לעברה. רגע, מבינה? כן, זה כן היה חשוב להגיד מתקדם לעברה.
And I short look.
לפני שזה מכיר לבנק? קם. קורה? את מקליטה, אתה יודעת איפה את מכניסה את זה ומה...
Here we go. So that, the two little marks here, that means
Pause.
it changed. So that means
What changed?
the speed, the timing of the, because this was a live play. So when I wrote it, this was right. Bert looks up at her, then returns to his meal. Rose goes over to the small gas fire, sits in the rocking chair, and then she said, "I've never seen who it is. Who is it lives down there?" So when it was live, she said that before. So I then said, Bert looks up at her, then returns to his meal. Rose goes over to the small gas fire. Who is it? I've never seen who it is. Who is it? Who lives down there? She sits in the rocking chair. So so I put it like that because I know that might happen like that, or it might happen the other way. There's a knock on the door.
What's the effect?
Sound effects.
Oh.
So I know that there's something that's going to happen there. She moves the door. In fact, there was one a bit earlier where she jumps up. Here we go. Just before that. So it says, it'll be dark in a minute as well soon. It gets dark now. And then what happened was he put down his teacup. And then she jumps up. I made plenty, go on, and refills the cup. So that's this sense again that she's talking and she hears this, that she's, you know, as soon as he's put down an empty teacup, she's up and saying, there's plenty more tea, have some more tea. So I know that I've got to wait not for the word, but for the clink of the teacup.
This is the slash bar.
Yeah,
The
that's
slash tells you you have to wait for a cue.
that's my, it's my, yeah, I know,
your
yes.
sign.
So that slash means it's not the word now, but the clink.
The audio cue
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
visual cue.
And what you choose to say is she jumps up and she puts the cup down.
No, that. He puts the cup down, and then
but
she jumps up and refills it.
how do we know he put the cup down?
You can, you hear the
The noise.
clink, and then you hear her. Then she says, "I've got plenty," and then she refills his cup. And so between those things, we get it's her anxiety about his cup being empty, which I thought was more important.
British one.
It's 5 o'clock.
And then so that's that first slash. I mean, it used to be when I had handwritten scripts. It was kind of, they're easier to annotate. I have to say, that's what I miss about them. So the first slash I know means there's a little clink. The second slash, Bert reads the paper. Rose tentatively puts her hands on the chair opposite. So that's a visual cue, because that changed. So he would read his paper, and then at one moment she would put her hands on the chair. So I know that. So to me, that means I move with the actors. I don't just say Rose tentatively puts her hands on the chair, pulls it out, blah blah blah. So that's absolutely following the speed which she will do it.
And if they are not doing it, the same
They will
way,
do it.
If they are
Better.
Israeli.
But they, no, I mean,
Not-
you get to know when they will or won't. But in this production, you know, that it's such a, again, it's such a big moment because that's the first time she sits down opposite him. You know, after, you know, whatever page we're at, however long she's been talking, but it's a good while, and it literally, you know, she puts her hands on the back of the chair and she kind of pulls it out, and then he looks up and she stops, and then she carries on and sort of sits down, you know, and so there's this sort of tense moment. So that again just was the hint to me to follow the tempo of the action. Whereas other things you would just kind of say because you know there's time to say them, and if you hesitate, that time's going to go. So these things you kind of get to know, and you'll get to have your own little codes.